My flock, the time has come to rise. I am the shepherd sent to guide you. Follow me, and you shall find salvation. Together, we will conquer the darkness. Let your faith be your strength.
The wolves among us, predators who sell themselves as saints. Hypocrisy is the homage vice pays to virtue. François de La Rochefoucauld. This observation captures a profound and unsettling truth. The most dangerous human predators rarely appear as snarling beasts. They arrive instead as paragons of virtue, philanthropists, healers, gurus, clergy, child advocates, or moral authorities, whose public righteousness disarms suspicion and grants them access, trust, and power. Behind closed doors, or in the shadows of their carefully constructed facades, they inflict profound harm. The argument is not that all good deeds are suspect, nor that every moral leader is a fraud. It is that the most insidious and destructive predators deliberately weaponize the appearance of goodness, exploiting humanity's deep-seated desire for trustworthy authorities, saviours, and exemplars. Their masks allow predation on a scale and with a duration that overt criminals could never sustain. The psychological architecture, dark traits, and moral hypocrisy. Psychological research illuminates why certain personalities gravitate toward this strategy. The dark triad, narcissism, grandiosity and need for admiration, Machiavellianism, strategic manipulation and cynicism, and psychopathy, callousness, impulsivity, and lack of remorse, correlates strongly with moral hypocrisy. Individuals scoring high on these traits exhibit both interpersonal hypocrisy, applying stricter moral standards to others than to themselves, and intrapersonal hypocrisy, preaching or signaling virtue while acting otherwise. Machiavellians, in particular, manipulate their public image to secure status and power, sometimes engaging in visible charitable acts primarily for reputational gain rather than genuine altruism. Narcissists may perform moral behavior instrumentally, to enhance their self-image or superiority, rather than from authentic empathy. Psychopaths, lacking emotional resonance with others' suffering, can compartmentalize or rationalize exploitation with chilling ease. Moral disengagement often mediates these patterns. Dark trait individuals justify violations of their own stated standards by minimizing harm, displacing responsibility, or dehumanizing victims. Crucially, these traits frequently coexist with superficial charm and high social intelligence. Predators do not merely lie, they curate environments where their virtue appears self-evident. They seek roles, doctor, priest, coach, philanthropist, self-help leader, where moral authority is assumed and scrutiny is low. The result is a perfect predatory niche, positions that provide both victims and protective cover. Portraits of predation. Real-world cases demonstrate the pattern with devastating clarity. Jimmy Savile embodied the philanthropic predator. A British television personality and eccentric public figure, Savile raised over £40 million for hospitals and charities, particularly Stoke Mandeville Hospital and Broadmoor Psychiatric Hospital. He received an OBE and was knighted, enjoyed close associations with royalty and political figures, and cultivated an image of harmless, generous eccentricity. His charity work granted him extraordinary access to vulnerable children and patients. After his death in 2011, investigations revealed he had sexually abused hundreds of people, mostly children, over decades. The good glow of his fundraising created institutional reluctance to investigate rumors. His contributions were too valuable, his persona too beloved. Charity became both the mechanism of access and the shield against accountability. Keith Raniere of Nxivm presented as a self-improvement messiah. Through his company, marketed as an elite personal and professional development program drawing on science and philosophy, he attracted ambitious professionals seeking growth and empowerment. Internally, he built a hierarchical cult. A secret subgroup, DOS, involved the branding of women with his initials, sexual servitude, starvation, and psychological coercion framed as empowerment. Raniere positioned himself as an ethical vanguard guiding followers to their highest potential. Convicted of racketeering, sex trafficking, and related crimes, he received a 120-year sentence. The self-help facade drew victims in. The promise of moral and personal elevation kept them trapped. Larry Nassar operated within the trusted realm of medicine and sports. As team physician for USA Gymnastics and a doctor at Michigan State University, he was regarded as a dedicated, somewhat nerdy healer who helped young athletes recover and excel. Parents, coaches, and institutions entrusted him with their daughters' bodies and futures. Over decades, he sexually abused at least 250 girls and young women, often under the guise of legitimate medical treatment. His wholesome, caring image and professional authority delayed detection for years. Complaints were minimized or ignored because Dr. Nassar would never. The healer's mask proved lethally effective. These cases span entertainment, philanthropy, self-help, spirituality, and medicine, domains where moral or caring authority is culturally granted. Similar patterns appear in religious institutions, where clergy have abused children while invoking divine authority and moral superiority, often shielded by hierarchical protection of the greater good of the Church. Why the facade works, enablers and mechanisms. Several interlocking factors allow these predators to thrive. The halo effect causes observers to assume goodness in one domain. Charity, healing, spiritual teaching extends to all others. Authority bias reinforces this. People defer to those in helping or moral roles. Victims and bystanders experience cognitive dissonance. He does so much good, how could he? Leading to disbelief, minimization, or victim blaming. Predators actively exploit this through grooming at scale. Public virtue builds collective trust, while private charm or authority grooms individuals. Institutions often become complicit, prioritizing reputation, funding, or continuity over uncomfortable inquiries. When accusations surface, the predator's cultivated network and the social cost of believing victims, disrupting a valued institution or icon, provide further protection. Moral licensing may operate internally for some. Public good deeds psychologically pay for private transgressions in the predator's mind, or at least reduce self-reproach. For society, the greater danger lies in the erosion of trust when the mask slips. Revelations about Saville damaged faith in charitable institutions. Nassar's crimes shook confidence in sports medicine and safeguarding systems. The predator's greatest victory is not merely their crimes, but the collateral cynicism they sow toward genuine virtue. Archetypes and timeless warnings. This phenomenon is ancient. The biblical warning against false prophets, who come to you in sheep's clothing but inwardly are ravenous wolves, Matthew 7 verse 15, names the strategy precisely. Molière's Tartuffe dramatizes the pious hypocrite who uses religious performance to manipulate and exploit a devout household. Shakespeare's ego presents as honest ego while destroying Othello through calculated deception. Across cultures and eras, the archetype persists because it exploits a fundamental human vulnerability. Our need to believe in moral authorities and our reluctance to confront evil when it wears a familiar, respected face. Philosophically, the danger runs deeper than individual pathology. Performative virtue, virtue signaling without substance, undermines the very possibility of authentic moral community. When goodness becomes a costume for power, it corrupts the signal that society relies upon to coordinate trust and cooperation. The imperative of discernment. The most dangerous predators sell themselves as the most good and righteous precisely because that strategy maximizes their reach and minimizes resistance. Overt criminals trigger avoidance. Wolves in sheep's clothing trigger welcome. Their evil is not always more intense in degree than that of street predators, but it is often more extensive in scope, more prolonged in duration, and more corrosive to social fabric. Countering this requires neither blanket cynicism nor naive trust. It demands rigorous discernment, evaluating consistency between public claims and private behavior where observable, building institutional safeguards that do not depend on charismatic virtue, independent oversight, protected whistleblowing, transparent accountability, and cultivating the courage to believe victims even when the accused seems irreproachable. True moral character reveals itself not in proclamations or visible good works alone, but in the quiet, consistent choices made when no audience watches and no reputation is at stake. In the end, the wolf who dresses as a shepherd may lead the flock farther astray than the wolf who howls openly from the forest. Awareness of the masquerade is the first, essential step toward protecting the vulnerable and preserving the possibility of genuine goodness in human affairs.